A warm welcome to all the students. In today's lecture, we are going to see a very important topic in Java, and that is called as applets. Applets are small Java programs which are used in internet computing. They can be transported over the internet from one computer to another computer. These applets are run using a tool named as Applet Viewer or by any web browser that supports Java. Applets can perform arithmetic operations, it can display graphics, play sound, accept user input, create animation, and it can also play interactive games. Either we can write our own applets and embed them into the web pages, or we can download an applet from a remote computer system and then we can embed it into a web page. Accordingly, the applets can be called as local applet and remote applets. An applet developed locally and stored in a local system is known as local applet. So if I am the developer of this applet, I will create a folder in which I will write a Java program for the applet. I will compile this Java program so that it becomes a bytecode file, applet file, and then within the same folder I am going to create a HTML page, a web page, and using a special tag called as applet tag, I am going to embed this particular applet bytecode into the web page. Now once that happens, okay, my browser can now play an applet. But the problem is, the question is, does it require internet to play this applet? No, because the web page lies on my computer as well as the applet is also located on my computer, so it's a local system. So whenever the web page is double clicked so that the browser opens, it will first try to find out the directory wherein this particular .class file is present, and after locating the file it is going to execute the file. Such applet is called as local applet. When a web page is trying to find a local applet, it does not need to use internet, as I have already said. It simply searches the directories in the local system and locates and loads the specified applet. Now, what is remote applet? Remote applet is that which is developed by somebody else and it is stored on some remote computer which is connected to internet. Now, I as a user, if I want to use that particular remote applet, then I will have to type the URL of the corresponding web page on my browser. Okay, now that remote computer becomes a server for me. Okay, once my browser, the client machine, requests for that web page on the server, okay, as a response, the server not only sends the required HTML page, but along with that, it also sends the bytecode file of the applet. This applet, which is actually designed remotely, okay, on a remote server, gets downloaded on your local computer and then it starts playing on your local computer. And this is a concept of remote applet. If our system is connected to internet, we can download the remote applet onto our system via the internet and we can run it. Now, how does applet differ from applications? Applets, they are not full-fledged application programs. They are usually written to accomplish a small task or a component of a task. Whereas when we talk about application is basically breaking the big problem into smaller pieces, and each piece or each module will be solved or executed by this same application. For instance, suppose you design an application for college automation, there are so many subtasks. You have student registration module where student registration will take place. Okay, then result module when the result will be computed, then attendance module where the students attendance will be considered. Okay, then faculty management module wherein the new faculties will be added, the old faculties or retired faculties will be removed from the list, and so on. So this same application, say college management application, it will do multiple tasks, it will do more than one task. But when you consider an application from an applet, Applet will not be able to do so many tasks. It will do only one small or a component of a task. Since they are usually designed to use on internet, they impose certain limitations and restrictions in their design, because the developers of Java, okay, they realized that whenever a program is downloaded from the internet, or whenever a program does a communication from on the internet, okay, there are so many threats which are involved, security threats, right? Now, the applet do not use main method for initiating the execution of the code. Applets, when loaded, they automatically call certain methods of the applet class to start and execute the applet code. So you will see that whenever I am going to write applet program, I will be not writing public static void main. There won't be something called as a main class. Unlike the standalone applications, please note that when I talk about standalone applications, say a Java application, you need to only double click on the executable file and the the application will run on its own. However, applets cannot run on their own. Now, if you want to run an applet, you will have to first embed it into the HTML page, okay, and then you will have to execute, or you will have to open the HTML page. HTML page in turn will run your applet. So in that way, your applet is dependent. So unlike standalone applications, applet cannot be run independently. They are run from inside a web page using a special feature known as HTML tag. Applets cannot read from or write to the files in the local computer. Now this is very important, because suppose the code that is downloaded from the internet, if it is malicious codes, they try to modify or write something onto your file system, or they try to read something from your file system and send the data on a remote server. Okay, so to ensure security, the developers of these applets, they thought that yes, our applets, we will design them in such a way that they will not be able to read or write any files on the local computer, to neutralize this kind of risk. Applets also cannot communicate with the other servers on the network, so that they should not be able to transfer any information over the network to other servers. Applet cannot run any program from the local computer as well, because if on internet there are some malicious codes which get downloaded and then they trigger some background activities, virus or worm activities. So to neutralize that, developers thought that applet should not be able to run any other program from the local computer. Applets are restricted from using libraries from other languages such as C or C++. These restrictions ensure that the applet cannot do any damage to the local system. Let's see the steps to build an applet. Building an applet code. So you will have to write a .java file, a Java code for the applet. Then this Java code you will have to compile using JavaC compiler. So you come up with a .class file or a bytecode file. Then you will have to design a web page using HTML tags. Then within the web page, you will have to prepare an applet tag. Now, applet is a tag within which you will be passing the information about which applet you are going to embed in that particular page. Then you will have to incorporate this applet tag into your web page. Okay, creating HTML file, save the file as .html. Then you test the applet code. Now, this is, while building the applet code, okay, we are going to see a program, but before that let us see how what are the inbuilt packages, what are the inbuilt classes which can be used to design the applet. So basically java.applet, as you can see here, java.applet, this is a package that contains a predefined class called as applet. Now this class contains all the functionality that is required to create an applet. As I have told you earlier, there is no main method. However, applets, they have some methods, okay, like init method, which is initialization method, start method, then there is a method called as paint method, stop method, delete method, destroy method. These are the methods which are defined in this applet class. So basically I am talking about the life cycle of an applet. So all this is defined in this applet class. So you will be writing in your code import java.applet.applet. However, just for your information, we are seeing the chain of classes that are inherited by this applet class. Now this applet class inherits the properties from a superclass, and that is called as panel class. This panel class is present in another package called as java.awt, which is abstract window toolkit. Panel class in turn inherits properties from container class, which is also present in the same java.awt package. Container class inherits properties from component class. Component class is also present in java.awt package. And finally, component class inherits properties from the superclass called as object class, which is present in java.lang package. Applet code that we are going to write, it uses the services of two classes. First one is called as applet class, which we have already seen, and you require another class called as graphics, and this graphics class is present in the package called as java.awt. So there are two packages that will be used. Okay, java.applet package that houses applet class, so you will have to import this statement, and also within the java.awt package there is a class called as graphics, so that also we will have to import in your program. Okay, before we proceed, one small thing that I want to tell you. See, from Java version 1.8 onwards, 1.9 onwards, or Java 9 onwards, okay, the developers of Java, they have discontinued the use of applets. So as I am speaking today, at this moment, the applets are obsolete, okay, for us. However, still the applet topic is introduced in your syllabus, and that is because applet provides you the very cheapest possible way of creating a graphical user interface. Okay. Also, applets they are the primitive, or you can say they are the forefathers of the current GUI systems. For example, Java, Swing, and so on. All this is based on the primitive concept that is called as applet. Okay. Now there is one problem now. As Java they discontinued the use of applets, the recent web browsers like Chrome, Firefox, your Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, all these, they also they started not supporting the applet concept. So as a result, as I am speaking today, although in this particular steps I have said that after creating HTML file you have to double click the HTML file and then you have to test whether your applet code is correct, you will observe that even after embedding the applet into the HTML page, if you double click on the HTML page, okay, your applet will not run. Rest everything on the HTML page will be seen. So in that HTML page, if you set some page color, then if you set some font, if you type some text along with the applet embedation, okay, you will observe that all other things will be visible in the page. However, the applet will not run. Okay, this is because the current browsers, they don't support applets. Okay. Now there are ways. For example, in the settings of that browser, there are some ways how you can still run applets. Also, if you work with Chrome, Google Chrome, then there are some extensions which you have to install in order to see the applets running. But we have a better tool at our disposal. We have already installed JDK, Java Development Kit 8, and within JDK, along with other tools like Java Compiler, Java C, or Java Interpreter, Java, and so on, Java Doc, and so on, there is also one more tool that they have given us, and that is called as Applet Viewer. So we are going to use this tool called as Applet Viewer. We are going to call it from the command prompt, and using this Applet Viewer, we are going to compile this, or we are going to execute this HTML file, and then we will see that the applet gets displayed in the Applet Viewer. Before we actually see the applet program, let me tell you how the applet works. So I am talking about the applet life cycle. Okay, now applet initially, whenever you create an applet, whenever the web page is loaded, okay, we say that the applet is in born state. Okay, initialization of all the parameters in the applet take place during the born state. Okay, so now when the start method is called, okay, from born state, applet enters the running state. Now when the applet is running, okay, there is a method called as paint method that we can use, so that we can display the content onto the canvas of that particular applet. Okay, so as the applet is running, you can paint and repaint and repaint, and this can go on. Now many times, suppose on the home page you have the applet, next you click on another page on the same website. Okay, so there is a transition from this page to the next page. So in that case, automatically the current applet is stopped, so that a new page is loaded, a next page is loaded. Okay, so from running state, when the stop method is called, okay, applet moves from running state to the idle state or the stop state. Now again, after venturing that particular page, now you click the back button, or if you again click the home button, you are again taken back to the original, the home page in which that applet was there. So when automatically you come back to the, or by clicking a button, when you come back to the home page, okay, a start method is automatically called of the applet, and from idle state, applet starts running. Notice that applet moving from running state to idle state, back to idle, back from idle state to running state. This can just go on any number of times in the life cycle of the applet. However, the initialization phase happens only once. Now, once the browser closes down, whenever a web page is closed, okay, automatically the destroy method is called, and we say that the applet is destroyed. And once the destroy method is called, from idle state, applet goes to dead state or the destroyed state. Okay, so these are basically four phases in the life cycle of the applet. You have an initialization state or born state, you have running state, you have idle state, and you have a dead state. Let's see in detail each of these states. Initialization state. Applet enters the initialization state when it is first loaded. This is achieved by calling init method of the applet class. So in the applet class, there is a method called as init method, which is called so that the applet is initialized. Now what do we write? What code do we write in this init method? Okay, so many times, okay, creating an applet, it requires creating some objects which are needed by the applet, or it requires setting up some initial values. For example, background color of the applet, foreground color of the applet, all these are initialization parameters. Or certain font if you want to use, so loading a particular font or setting up some colors, all this you can do during the initialization. So doing all these activities, okay, all these activities, the code can be written in the init method of the applet. Okay, now remember, initialization occurs only once in the applet's life cycle. So we must override the init method. So if you want to write your own code, okay, then you will have to override a init method of the abstract class, and it is like this: public void init, and here you will have to write the code or the action. Next is the running state. Applet enters the running state when the system calls the start method of the applet class. Now remember that from once the init method is called, this automatically, you know, this start method is automatically called by the init method actually. So calling of the start method occurs automatically after applet is initialized. But starting can also occur if the applet is already in the stopped or idle state. Okay, so start method can be either implicitly called. When it is implicitly called, automatically called. When when the applet is initialized, automatically it starts running. So start method is called. But when you are switching between the different web pages within the same website, okay, so when you are switching from a page which has applet to another page, okay, automatically a stop method is called. Now when you are switching back to that main page that contains applet, then the start method will be explicitly called. Okay, so for example, we may leave the web page containing the applet temporarily to another page and return back to that particular page. This again starts the applet running. Unlike the init method, the start method may be called more than once. As you go on switching from one page to another, okay, you may require to call this start method and stop method again and again. Now, how do we write this start method? So we may override the start method to create a thread to control the applet. So this is the code. Public, please make sure it's not voids, it is void, public void start, and you can write the code within this. Next is the idle or the stop state. An applet becomes idle when it is stopped from running. Now stopping occurs automatically when we leave the page that contains the currently running applet. However, we can also do so by calling stop method explicitly. This is what I was talking about. Automatically the applet is stopped when we move from that web page to another web page, but you can also explicitly call stop method, okay, in some cases. Now, if we use a thread to run the applet, then we must use stop method to terminate that particular thread. We can achieve this by overriding the stop method. So this is the code for the stop method, public void stop, and within these brackets you can write the action code. Dead state. Applet is said to be in dead state when it is removed from the memory, and this occurs automatically by invoking the destroy method when we quit the browser. Okay, so automatically the destroy method is called when we are going to quit the browser, right? Like initialization, destroy stage, it occurs only once in the applet's life cycle. If the applet has created any resources like threads, etc., we may override the destroy method to clean up these resources. So we can write the definition for the destroy method as public void destroy, and here you can write the code of destroying whatever resources that have been created by this applet for its own running. Display state. Now whenever applet is in running state, okay, what it does is it displays. So applet moves to the display state whenever it has to perform some output operations on the screen. Now whatever you can see on that small applet screen, applet is something like a pop-up window, okay, and the display area of that is called as a canvas. So if you want to display something on the canvas, okay, then you use a method called as a paint method. Okay, so this happens immediately after applet enters running. So the moment applet starts running, paint method can be called, right? Almost every applet will have a paint method. Like other methods in lifecycle, the default version of the paint method does absolutely nothing. So if you just write public void paint, and if you don't write anything in the brackets and try to run the applet, you will see an applet, a pop-up window kind of applet, and you will not see anything printed on that particular. It will be a blank applet. Okay, we must therefore override this method if you want anything to be displayed on the screen. Okay, so I have missed out a word called as public here. So the syntax of this paint method is public void paint. Now students, please note this paint method, it uses object of another class called as graphics. Okay, and using this object of graphics class, we can do multiple things on the canvas of this applet. For example, you can draw a string, okay, you can draw a rectangle, you can draw some animation and so on. So all this, for all this we require the inbuilt methods and inbuilt static whatever static variables from the graphics class. And as a result, you will see shortly that whenever we are going to write our own applet, we are going to write two import statements. One import statement to import the applet class itself, and second import statement to import the graphics class. Okay, so this is a example. So we will just execute one code now and we will see. I will show you how to create an applet, and this applet is going to simply print. So this is an applet. This applet is simply going to print hello world on the computer screen. Okay, now before I show you the execution, students please note applet, this is an applet, right? This point over here, that is top left point here, this is coordinate 0, 0. So it is 0, 0 pixels. Now from this point the horizontal distance x is this and vertical distance y is this. Okay, for example, if I specify, okay, the place where hello world is to be printed, the x value if I specify is 100, that means from here 100 pixels away, and say y value is also specified as 100. That means from this point 100 pixels away. So 100 comma 100 becomes this particular point. So this is the folder that I've created, first applet. So I will first write the Java code for the applet. So I'll create a new file, new text file, and I will call it as new applet. Okay, I will save this file as newapplet.java. Yes, so this is a Java file that is created. Now let's see what code. So first I'll be importing import java.applet.applet. As you know, applet class is present in java.applet package, so I have to import that class. And second, as we have seen, paint method, it uses object of another class called as graphics. Graphics class is present in another package called as java.awt, so I will have to import that also. I'll say import java.awt .graphics. Okay, now I'll write my class public class, and class name is new applet extends applet, and the code of the applet will be written in this compound brackets. Now the first method is public void init. As I told you, init method is initialization method. However, in this program I am going to only show you how a simple text like hello Java or hello applet can be printed on the applet canvas, and that's why we will not we will keep this particular method blank. We will not write any code here because I am not initializing anything. Let us go to the next method called as paint method. Public void paint, which takes object of graphics class G, and here I will write the code. Now notice that this object of graphics class G, okay, or graphics class G, it has so many inbuilt methods which can be used to print things on the computer screen. For example, it can print text, it can print some arcs, it can print some oval, rectangle, and so on, polygons and so on. So here I'll be using one method called as drawString, which will print a string on the computer screen. Now drawString method takes two parameters. The first parameter is nothing but the name of the text or the text that you want to display. So say hello applet, and then as I've told you, whenever we are talking about applet, suppose this is an applet, then this corner over here, this is top left corner, this is 0, 0. So I need to specify where exactly this hello applet has to be printed on the canvas. Okay, what is the x and what is the y value? So what's the pixel value, x comma y? So if I want to say that from this point 0, 0, I want to print a message with x as 50 pixels and with y as 100 pixels, so ultimately somewhere here, so I can specify that here. Okay, so I will say 50 is the value of x, okay, and 100 is the value of y. So in this case, the applet, this message will be printed at from the pixel that is from that is x comma y, that is 50 comma 100, somewhere here. Okay, 50 units from this point here and 100 units from this point here. So 50 comma 100 somewhere here at this point. Okay, so this is the applet code that I have written. I am simply using a method called as drawString, which simply prints a message on the applet canvas. So I will be saving this particular program. As you can see, there is no main method that is required. I save this program. Okay, next my aim is to compile this particular applet. So I'll put this path and now I will compile it, say Java C. Okay, and the name of my applet, name of my class is new applet. I'll say new applet dot java. So the program gets compiled, and as you can see here, this is a Java file, and accordingly after compilation a bytecode file, that is .class file, is already created. Right now I will have to create a HTML document, HTML page. Now HTML page always starts with a tag called as HTML. This is starting tag, and the closing tag can be written like this, /HTML. All the website related display code can be written within these tags, HTML tags. So the very first thing in HTML tag is a head tag, or heading can be specified here. End tag is head. Within head tag there is a title tag, where you can specify whatever you want to see on the title page. Okay, for example, my web page. Okay, I want to see this as a title. Okay, so this is regarding the heading. Now body of the page written within the body tag. Suppose I want to say that background color, so there is an attribute called as bg color equal to say blue. So I want the blue background to be seen of body. Now within the body tag you have a tag called as applet. Okay, now this applet tag, okay, within this applet tag you are going to specify which applet you want to load. So there is an attribute called as code. Now in this code we will specify which is that applet that I am going to embed in my HTML document. My applet is new applet dot class. Okay, so I will say new applet dot class is the applet that I want to embed. Second thing is, this applet which is embedded into a web page, once the web page is opened, you need to also specify what is that area within which you want the applet to be printed. What is the x and what is the width and what is the height of the applet that will be displayed in the web page. So I can specify width, say 400. Okay, and I can also specify height equal to say 100. Fine. So after writing this, I will save this page as new applet dot html. Notice that it should not be a text document, all files, and I save. My page, HTML page, is also saved in the same directory. So now I have three files here. This is my code, applet code. This is the bytecode version of that particular applet, and we have a HTML document within which I have just using a applet tag, I have embedded this particular applet code. But now as I double click on, right now I am using Microsoft Edge browser. If I double click on this web page, you can see that background color has been changed to blue. Correct? Background color has been changed to blue. Also the title that I mentioned, my web page, is also there. But where is my applet? It is not running. It is because the current browser is not supporting applets, so it is not able to run applets. So then what is the other way? So in the command prompt, now what we will do is we will compile this HTML page using applet viewer. So I will say applet viewer, and now I will give the name of the web page, that is new applet dot html. Okay, applet viewer is the command that invokes this applet viewer. And which page you want to see using applet viewer? HTML page, it is new applet.html. And now I say enter. And now you can see your applet appears, and you can see hello applet being printed. We have just seen how applet tag can be used within HTML to specify which applet to embed. However, The applet that we had created, it resided on our own local system. An HTML page was also on our local system. So we use something called as code attribute of applet tag to specify this local applet. But what if our applet is a remote applet? In that case, we can use, in place of code, we can use something called as code base, and we can specify the URL of the remote applet here. Notice that whichever tags I have put in square brackets, they are optional. You may or may not use it. Then there is also another option that's called as alt. Sometimes applet is displaying, say it's supposed to display some animation, and because of some problem it is not loading that animation. So instead of showing a blank area on the applet, okay, it is better to show an alternate text. So alt is a field wherein you can specify what is that alternate text that you want to appear on the applet canvas if a particular animation is not loaded or something is wrong. Then whenever you are using threading with applets, it is better that applet is given name. So name attribute can be used to give the instance applet instance name. Width and height we can specify so that it can tell what is the width of that applet and what is the height of the applets. In our previous example, it was 400 by 100. Align. Now align is a tag. Now you have a web page and your applet will be embedded in the web page, but where exactly? Whether to the left side, whether to the right hand side, whether on the top, whether on the bottom. So this can be specified within this align tag. Okay, and you will see shortly there are different parameters for this alignment. You have absolute alignment, you have a top alignment, bottom alignment, left alignment, right alignment, and so on. Then accordingly there are also vertical space, horizontal space with respect to pixels. These are also attributes. Okay, all these attributes should be specified within this applet tag, right? Now in between the opening applet tag and closing applet tag, there are more attributes that you can specify. Many times, okay, you can pass some input parameters from HTML page. From HTML page you can pass onto the applet some variables and their values. So that if you want to do that, then there is a tag called as param tab. Now in this case, name1 is the variable. The name of the variable is name1 and the value that it contains is value1. So name attribute specifies what's the variable name. Value attribute specifies what is the value that is contained in this variable name. By writing param name equal to name1, value equal to value1, I am just saying that I am passing a variable called as name1 with value value1. I am passing this as input to the applet. We will see how this can be done. So param is another tag. Okay. Also, if there is some text that is to be displayed in absence of Java, that also you can specify here. And all this should be between the applet's opening tag and the closing tag. Okay. Let's continue. The syntax of applet tag in full form is what we have just seen. Okay. Now whatever I specified, the same thing is written here. Okay, the meaning of each of these codes elements. Now how to pass parameters to the applets? Okay, how we can pass from HTML page, how we can pass parameters to the applet. Okay, so for this, as I have just told you, there is something called as param tag that can be used. So we can supply user defined parameters to an applet using something called as param tags. Okay. So for example, within the applet tag, opening and closing applet tag, if I write param equal to color, value equal to red, that means we are passing a variable whose name is color and whose value is red as an input to the applet code. So applet code can then use something called as get parameter method. Okay, and get parameter method can take the value. We can change the text to be displayed by an applet by supplying new text to the applet. Again, for example, from HTML document we can specify, say param name equal to text. So the name of the variable is text, value is I love Java. So by writing this code, I will be passing a variable called as text with value called as I love Java to the applet code. Now we shall see how an applet can take or can accept parameters from HTML documents. Okay, now we have already spoken about a tag in HTML. There is a tag called as param tag. This param tag has name and value to be specified. So in this param tag you can specify the variable name and its corresponding value. And when you have this param tag embedded in the HTML document, using this param tag you can pass the variable and its value to the applet, and then applet can read the value and accordingly process. Now to show this, let me show you one example. So I'll be creating a simple applet. Okay, let me save this as paramdemo.java. Okay, all files. So this is my file paramdemo.java. So I will write the code now. Import java.awt.graphics and import java.applet.applet. Okay, so we have imported these two files. Then I declare my class public class, say paramdemo. Okay, extends applet, and this is the applet code. So what I will do here is I will first declare a variable of type string, say str. So whatever input that comes from HTML page, that input will be stored in this variable str, okay, which will be utilized. Let's see how. So now I write my init method. So public void init, and here this str will receive the data from the HTML document using a method called as get parameter. So I'll say get parameter, and which parameter you want to fetch from the HTML file. Let's say the name of the parameter or the name of the variable that we want to fetch from HTML file. That variable name is say country, right? So this is that variable called as country that will be passed from HTML document through param tag, and get parameter is going to fetch that variable and its value is going to be stored in str. Then I say if str is null, okay, I will randomly say that str is equal to no input supplied from HTML file. Okay, now when this if statement will be executed, if suppose in your HTML document you have not written param tag. So if you are not writing param tag, it simply means that you are not passing any parameter as input from HTML file to your applet. So in that case, okay, get parameter here will try to fetch the input from the HTML file. HTML file, suppose it does not have param tag specified, so it means that get parameter will get null. So str will be set to null. So in that case, okay, in absence of get parameter tag in HTML document, this particular block of code will be executed, wherein str we are going to set we are going to just set a message saying that no input supplied from HTML file. Okay, otherwise str is equal to, okay, we'll just print this, the value from HTML file is plus str. Fine. So this is the string, and now this is your init method, public init method. Okay, so this is your init method. So init method does two things, most important things. First, if there is any parameter that is passed from HTML file through param tag, that parameter is fetched and it is stored in str string. Okay, what is country? Country is the name of the variable that is being passed from the HTML document, whose value is whatever. Okay, so that value will be stored in str. Country variable's value will be stored in str. Suppose in HTML document there is no param tag, which means that HTML document is not giving any input to this particular applet. Then this method is going to return null. So str will be set to null in such case. So we will just inform the user that no input is supplied from HTML file. Otherwise, we will suppose there is some input that is passed from the HTML file, then we will say str is equal to the value from the HTML file is, okay, instead of, yeah, we can just say variable 1. The name of the variable I am just changing, I am just saying variable 1. Okay, so I am saving this particular file. I am saving this file, right? And now I have to print this string on the applet canvas. So for that I'll use public void paint method internally using graphics object, and I will say g dot draw string. It will print str at say 50 comma 80. Yes, so this is your param demo, right? Next I will be compiling this, so I'll use command prompt and I'll copy this path and I'll say java c param demo dot java. Let's see whether there are errors. Okay, so there are no errors. So this is the dot class file. Now we will write a HTML document which will embed this dot class file. So I will just save this file now as HTML. I'll say param demo dot html. Yes, and in this param demo HTML I will just write the code HTML. Everything should be enclosed within HTML text. Then head, title, say my page is the title of this particular HTML page. Closing tag for head, and we have body tag. Now within the body tag you will have a applet tag, code equal to param demo dot java, width equal to say 200, height equal to 100. Okay, for better readability I'll move this to the next line. Yes, and this is the closing of this is the closing applet tag now, and your param your param should come in between the opening and closing applet text. So I'll say param name equal to, now the name that was using get parameter. If you can remember, get parameter method is to fetch one name, and that name was variable 1. So I will set that same name. I'll say param name is variable 1, okay, and its value, I'll say I am the value from HTML. Okay, so this is the value, and I will save this file. So that is it. Now let me use the applet viewer and run this paramdemo.html. As you can see here, okay, your applet displays that the value from HTML file is I am the value from HTML. Now just see what has happened. I will open both the files just to show you what has happened. So this is your applet code, and open with Notepad. This is your HTML code. Okay, watch carefully. Okay, now what we have done, just see, this is your HTML file. In the HTML file, we are passing a parameter whose name is variable 1 and whose value is I am the value from HTML. Now applet, okay, this is basically the variable, that value that is passed from the HTML file to the applet. Now applet in the init method, it has a method called as get parameter. So it, whatever variable 1 that is being passed, that variable 1, its parameter, that means its value is fetched by this get parameter method, and its value is stored in str. And that's why, what's the value of this variable 1? Value is I am the value from HTML. So str becomes I am the value from HTML, right? So since str has some valid value that is fetched from HTML document, it is not null. So this part will not execute. And as a result, str finally is the value from HTML file is, and then it prints str. And what is the value of str? Str is I am the value from HTML. So the same thing that you can see. The first part here is the part from this, and the str that is being printed is nothing but the value, which is I am the value from HTML. Okay. Now I will slightly change the code, and I will remove this param tag. Removing the param tag, it simply means that I am no longer passing any parameter from the HTML page. I will save this. I have removed param tag, so I am not passing any input from the HTML page. So when any input is not passed, get parameter cannot find any variable called as variable 1. As a result, get parameter method, it returns null to the string. Now what happens if str is null? Then str will be set to this input, that is no input supplied from the HTML file, and as a result your applet should print that the value from HTML file is, and it should print str, that is no input supplied from HTML file. So after saving this codes, I again execute paramdemo.html. So I will say applet viewer paramdemo.html. So this time it prints that the value from HTML file is no input supplied from HTML file. What is this no input supplied from HTML file? it is printed because str has turned null. That's why this no input supplied from HTML file has been printed. Okay, and why this is printed? Because ultimately get parameter method could not find a variable called as variable1. Why? Because we had removed param tag from HTML file. So this is how you can supply parameters from HTML document to the applet, and then applet can fetch it using get parameter and can process it.